I'm going to scoot on down to the other end of the couch. So, Tyler, you can take my place on the hot cushion. Today, I'm going to discuss your fantasy football footprint and follow that up with some questions. Please keep in mind that I'm going to be very direct, to the point, and brutally honest, and the questions are not necessarily going to be easy. Is that okay?
That is perfectly fine.
All right. Before we get into the meat of this potato, I would like to ask just a few things about you. Whereabouts do you live in this world?
I live in Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah, so I'm from Michigan originally, so you don't really carry a lot of the twang. I'll just say that right now. You got some of it. I can hear it every now and again, but you don't really carry the twang. I can get into it when I visit my relatives, but
I'm from more of the southern side of Minnesota.
All right. Well, you do a podcast called Dynasty Happy Hour. If your show ran long to say, an hour and 10, what emotional state would the additional 10 minutes be?
Probably goofiness. Probably just back and forth. Probably Tim, Doug, and I just making fun of each other. We're on that line.
I like it. So happy becomes goofy. Well, that works.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously, Dynasty Happy Hour. Obviously, you've been playing fantasy football a long time. You've even been writing and doing other things for 5+ years, as you mentioned before. Do you find that your fandom of teams causes you to draft team players higher than their ADP?
I would say more along the lines of college. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I would like to say that I've drafted more Notre Dame players than I should. They don't really pan out too much unless they're tight ends.
Right. So their tight end went to Pittsburgh this year, right?
Chase Claypool? It was Chase Claypool. Yeah, well, wide receiver tight end. But yeah, Cole Clement too. I like him, but
he's good.
But yeah, I would say more college. Julio Jones is probably one of my all-time favorite players, and I actually did not own too much of him in Dynasty, just for the aspect of I don't want to have that OCD type feel that I was at fault for it. I have a friend that won't own any Vikings, and he's a diehard Vikings fan. He could get Dalvin Cook on any team. He had the 101 in a draft, and he loves Dalvin Cook, and he's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So it's situations like that I kind of feel, but I'll overpay for some Falcons. Like Matt Ryan, I'll value higher than most. I like having Todd Gurley on a team now. I've paid for him just because I want to root for him on Atlanta.
Right. Well, and I think you're smart for the Matt Ryan thing. That's just one of those guys like Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford. Like they're just two guys that people quintessentially rate lower than their scores. And when you have somebody who's a veteran, who has a secure contract, who scores more points than the 5 or 6 quarterbacks that get drafted before or get picked up in their leagues before him, then that's just a good buy. It is. And so, yeah, I like that, man. So I'm a beer guy.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite style of beer?
I would just say light beer, like a Blue Moon style, a Belgian ale. Yeah, I'm not too big into the IPAs. They kind of give me a gut rot. I'm not gluten or anything, so I don't need to worry about that. But this makes me feel like I'm tired and worn out.
Understandable. So you like the lighter beers, and that's totally fine. The Belgian styles. We talked with John Bosch about Belgian styles here last time we talked with him, and they're phenomenal styles of beer. So Blue Moon, originally was created and then eventually purchased by Coors, who now makes Blue Moon, but it was a small microbrew Belgian wit style beer. Wonderful beer. But my final introduction question: what is your favorite thing about fantasy football waivers?
Waivers? It would probably be if you have Fab, that's the way to go. And if you have Fab, the best part about it is waking up and seeing if you got your guy. Seeing if you bid enough, and if you didn't, seeing what friend you're going to go up to and slap across the face because they outbid you on a player. There's so many times that I got outbid on Phillip Lindsay his rookie year that I was like, that's fine. No, it wasn't. It was not fine. because he ended up being very good. And it was situations like that made me think, maybe I should up my bids on these really good producing young players instead of being like, maybe they won't hit, maybe they won't. Just go for it.
No, I like that. We were talking again in our Shark Tank leagues. So I'm in Shark Tank 2. The entire league is basically a fab bid. So all auctions, everything about it is.
No, thank you. I'm sorry. I wouldn't be able to do that. I would.
It is amazing. For somebody like me who just is a student of psychology, it's like, I just love it. I love watching people freak out one day and change the next. And I'll actually be putting out like a diary series on this, and hopefully Jeremy can help me like dissect where I was at in those particular moments, because I'll just sit down and be like, this happened and I can't believe this happened. And it's been very unique. I mean, it's an intense league.
Yeah. No, thank you. Like I said, auctions. I'm in the red list league right now. The auction for the third, and auctions stress me out. Like I used to like them until I started being in a league with John Bosch, who is like an auction expert. So many times when John Bosch is like, wow, I can't believe he's out there for this price. And I'm just like, God, this guy, I'm going to go.
I posted a message in a message board for one of Peter Gent's eliminators. So I'm in this, and I didn't know what I was getting into with Peter Gent's eliminators. I should have known it would have been somewhat like Shark Tank. There are 50 players we're drafting in this silly eliminator. So there will be 850 players chosen by the time these 17 teams have their drafts. 850 players. Like, we're going to be delving to the bottom of the barrel. So I asked the question in there. I was like, I've never done an auction before. Of course I have, but I've never done an auction before, but I'm looking at the rules, and it apparently seems that what you need to do is wait until that thing says 1 minute, and then you bid $1 more. Is that how it works? Like, oh yeah, that's exactly it. But usually you want to wait till 3 minutes in case you have a computer glitch. So, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah. No, he's also in Capitalist Pigs 3, and that's a running thing, a running theme that happens in those leagues, is where it's like, oh, and okay, you're outbid. Yep.
All right. Well, now it's time for my hard-hitting analysis and drama-laden questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, question number 1. The Vikings have had some promising moments in the past, as have the Falcons. The Vikings seem to want to either pass the ball or run the ball, but never both. Matt Ryan only leads the Falcons to be a dominant offense every other year, so it is a shoo-in that they will be great in 2020. But there is a problem in that both teams lost key offensive weapons in Austin Hooper and Stephon Diggs. What is the name of the team that the highly drafted ex-Viking receiver now plays for?
The Buffalo Bills.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Laquan Treadwell went.
That's not funny, man. I actually interviewed that man, and he was not happy with me.
Well, so he was the highly drafted one. Stephon Diggs was taken, I believe, in the fifth round. Fifth round. Okay. Yep. Okay. So also,
Laquan Treadwell is going to be even more mad that you just completely forgot about him.
Yeah, he was a guy. His second year, I asked him. I said, "Okay, what's the difference that you are doing between year 1 and year 2 to help you progress more as a player?" And he just looked at me, and he just like in disgust. I'm like, I feel like that's a fair question. I mean, you sucked. I mean, you sucked.
To progress.
And then I walked over to Daniil Hunter's interview, and I peed my pants a little because he looked me in the eyes, and I thought I was going to die instantly, because that is a man. That is a man upon man. Like, I've never seen a man built like Daniil Hunter. Oofda.
All right. Well, you're 0 for 1, but it's okay. You were close. Question number 2. In the world of Dynasty Fantasy Football, there are many ways to determine player value. I prefer to use stats and base my value on that. Jeremy doesn't believe in value, so he trusts in his belief in stuff. Stats and stuff are both commonly used metrics in the world of fantasy football. In St. Cloud, it is illegal to eat hamburgers on Sunday, but what is illegal to do in Minnesota while you're sleeping?
Oh, God. Swear?
No, it is illegal to be naked. You cannot sleep naked in Minnesota.
Oh, well, I know some friends that might get arrested.
These obscure.
Are those friends you?
No, and well, I should say yes because Kyle then knows I can't sleep naked on this couch.
So it's fun. All the states have these little obscure laws. Like Texas, you can't carry wire cutters in your back pocket. Like that's illegal. So from the
Carry them in your front pocket?
You can. Not in your back pocket.
Solution.
Well, but back in the day, they didn't have front pockets. It was only back pockets. So I think Levi pretty much alleviated the session.
Thanks a lot, Brett Favre.
So, question number 3.
This year, there are some scary situations going on with veteran star running backs. There is a fear of fantasy stars like Cook or Kamara potentially holding out for more lucrative second contracts. We saw this occur last year when Melvin Gordon held out for many weeks, and 2 years ago as Le'Veon Bell took off the entire season. This appears to be a trend of running backs holding out while time remains on their rookie deals. It appears that Joe Mixon is the most likely running back to hold out this year, so who is the last tight end to hold out?
Tight end? Jimmy Graham?
That is incorrect because in 2014 he held out as a wide receiver. It was Mercedes Lewis who held out for 5 days in 2011. I'm going to go ahead and give you a half a point on that one because, you did get the team's version of a tight end, but he held out because he wanted wide receiver money.
These questions are exactly how my wife asks questions. No, that's not it. No, because I said this. You got to hear me.
Well, I'm glad I can make it feel a bit like home.
I guess that your wife will not allow you to ignore 90% of what we're saying first.
I probably pay more attention to these questions than I do what she asks.
All right, question number 4.
The Vikings have been a revolving door of retread and treadless quarterbacks during the 2000s. They hired an ex-rival Hall of Fame level quarterback who wasn't far from taking Minnesota to the Super Bowl. Next, they got stuck in a web of bad players that made me ponder why they felt they could live without their teddy bear. I don't know what in Sam Hill was the case for them not re-signing Keenum, but they ended up taking their cousins to the dance instead. Adrian Peterson was a superstar for many years with the Vikings. Can you name a running back from the University of Texas that has been better than AD in the past 30 years?
Ooh. Archie Griffin?
I think he would have been beyond 30 years.
Yeah. Okay. I don't. Cedric Benson wasn't one of them, was it?
Well, he was within 30 years.
Yeah, but I don't think he's better than AD. I mean, if we're talking comparable to AD, we're talking LaDainian Tomlinson, who was also from Texas.
TCU,
so
though.
I'm going to go with that. Hey, I mean, that's a Texas school. The way your questions are going.
I'm going to give you full credit on this because the answer is no, you can't name anybody from the University of Texas that has been better than AD in the past 30 years because it's not possible. So Earl Campbell would be the only one I would say, and I intentionally put the limits outside of that range where Earl Campbell could be considered so that I wouldn't get into that kind of a debate. But
Tyler figured out this game and has just ignored his initial thoughts and just says, let me think how Kyle's twisted mind would think about this question.
I'm wicked smart, what the Boston people would say.
Oh, that's a smart guy.
That's a smart pack.
Greatest commercial that they've done in the Super Bowl in probably the last 3 or 4 years. They've been declining. They haven't been higher quality each and every year like they used to be. But that one just kind of peaked it, and I really like that commercial.
Yeah. So we have on the Debbie Happy Hour Brian Schuck, who has a thick Massachusetts accent, and he was on the Dynasty Rewind last night, and I made him say Harbor. And I tell you what, there's nothing that can make your day better than a true Massachusetts accent saying Harbor. The Harbor.
It's the most wonderful thing. Just like when I go back to Michigan and we put our soda in a bag. It's so great when we go to
What?
Our soda in a bag.
Okay, you got one of those things right. Saying soda.
Soda in a bag.
Actually, no, we call it pop. So never mind. You're just 0 for 2.
No, that's true. Michigan, they would call it pap, but they'll sometimes call it soda. But they're definitely not going to call it a Coke like we do in Texas.
Hot dish.
I would
or
like
casserole?
a Coke.
Hot dish or casserole?
What the hell's a hot dish?
The greatest thing known to man.
Dish,
Excuse me.
Dish that the casserole's cooked in.
It's called hot dish. Tater tot hot dish.
Do you call a water fountain a bubbler, or is that just Wisconsin people?
A what?
What people from Wisconsin call a water fountain a bubbler, or like a drinking
No,
fountain.
we call it a water fountain because we're not crazy.
They're not crazy, but they can't sleep naked.
There you go. That's the motto.
That's true.
All right. Thanks for your time. I appreciate your candid and truthful answers and my insightful and hard-hitting analysis.